Speaking section. 1. Please listen carefully. A good teacher should have some special qualities. What qualities do you think are necessary for a good teacher to have, and why? Include details and examples in your explanation. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Two. Please listen carefully. Some people believe that people who play video games are learning important life skills. Others believe that video game players are wasting their time. Which view do you agree with, and why? Include details and examples in your explanation. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Three. Please listen carefully. The University of the Rockies newspaper has published a letter to the editor concerning a university policy. Read the letter about the hiring of temporary instructors. You will have 45 seconds to read the letter. Begin reading now. Now listen to two students as they discuss the issue brought up in the letter.
I thought university teachers were well paid. I mean, they have to have advanced degrees and be experienced to teach here, don't they?
Yeah, but I've heard that over 60% of our teachers are temporary.
Really? Well, I don't think my education is suffering because of it. Do you?
Well, it's kind of hard to know, isn't it? I mean, part-timers have to hold down another job, so they can't concentrate on course development.
That's true. But I still think my teachers are pretty well prepared.
Yeah, me too. But there are other drawbacks to having part-time teachers too, like, well, I needed to see my literature instructor, but arranging a time was difficult because she also works at the city library. And then our meeting wasn't private because temporary staff members share offices.
Really?
Uh-huh. And they don't have a voice in departmental issues or access to university funding.
Wow. I can't imagine they feel any loyalty to the university at all.
Now get ready to answer the question. The man expresses his opinion on the issue of temporary instructors. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for that opinion. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Four. Please listen carefully. Read the passage about imprinting in baby birds. You have 45 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Now listen to part of a lecture on this topic in an ecology class.
So, we've been looking at animal behavior, and especially the process of imprinting in young birds. Of course, the first thing a young gosling sees when it hatches is its mother. Now, birds that walk almost immediately after hatching, as opposed to those who are helpless and can't get around for several weeks, have to follow their mother for their own safety, for their survival. It seems that walking birds will follow just about anything that moves and has eyes. In fact, we've seen that they will easily imprint on human beings. But some researchers have gone even further. One set of experiments, for example, has found that young geese will imprint on inanimate objects, such as plastic milk bottles that are attached to a moving object, like an electric toy train. Now, it seems that in some species of birds, and this includes nesting birds, which are helpless after hatching, imprinting can affect later learning and social behavior. For example, territorial behavior. If a human takes on the role of the parent, the bird's social behavior becomes directed at the wrong object or species. A bird that sees a human as one of its own kind and follows or accompanies a human will not understand the importance of keeping to its own territory. This is why wildlife specialists tell us not to try to raise young birds that we find outside a nest. If the bird becomes attached to us, it can't learn to associate with its own species and would quickly be rejected.
Now get ready to answer the question. The professor explains the notion of imprinting in young geese and ducks. Explain how this behavior develops and how it might be important for the bird's survival. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Five. Please listen carefully. Listen to a conversation between two students.
I just finished my history project.
That must feel nice. It takes me so long to do Professor Madison's assignments.
Really? Well, what do you think the problem is? Do you have trouble understanding the task?
It's not a matter of understanding the material. My problem is technical. You know how he wants us to turn in the projects on disk? Well, I'm just computer illiterate. I write out all my assignments by hand.
Wow. Well, you could pay someone to type up your handwritten work. There are always ads on the bulletin board of people willing to do that for a fee.
That's an idea. But it could get too expensive after a while.
Yeah, I imagine it would. Oh, why don't you go on over to the Study Skills Center? Maybe they could direct you to some online sites that give typing lessons you can do on your own time. You know, they may even hold some beginning word processing classes.
Do you think so?
Well, I don't know for sure, but it's worth a try. And another thing you should do is sign up for a beginning computer course. You know, the world is getting more technical every day, and if you really want to fit into the job market, you should learn everything you can about computers while you're here and have all these available resources.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Now get ready to answer the question. The students discuss different solutions to the woman's problem. Describe the problem. Then state which of the solutions you prefer and why. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep. Six. Please listen carefully. Listen to part of a lecture in an architecture class.
When planning a structure, engineers must consider the internal and external forces the structure must withstand. These are called loads. Broadly speaking, there are two types of loads, static and dynamic. Now, static loads concern those forces that don't change, and dynamic loads are those that change abruptly. First, let's look at static loads, which can be broken down into dead loads and live loads. Dead loads concern the weight distribution that the structure itself must bear. These would include beams, walls, floors, ceilings, and roofs. Calculating dead loads is quite straightforward. Now, live loads are those other weights that a structure must support. Live loads can be people, furniture, or, in the case of a bridge, cars and trucks. You may wonder why live loads like people or cars are considered static, since we move around all the time. Well, we can calculate how many people will fit into this classroom, say, or how many trucks can be on a bridge at the same time. Our comings and goings flow. They do not happen abruptly. Imagine that your family is sitting in different parts of a room and someone says, "Oh, look, northern lights." So everyone rushes to the same window to look outside. The live load changes from the weight being evenly distributed to its being concentrated at one point. Like dead loads, live load calculations can be computed. Now, remember that I said dynamic loads are those in which the forces change suddenly. For example, a gust of wind. Extreme examples of dynamic loads are tidal waves, hurricanes, or earthquakes. Think about earthquake zones. Here the engineer must consider features that allow the building to withstand, or let's say counteract, a sudden change of force, a force that is unpredictable.
Now get ready to answer the question. Using points and examples from the lecture, explain the kinds of loads an engineer must consider when building a structure. You may begin to prepare your response after the beep. Please begin speaking after the beep.